favorite day on the sports calendar. There is not a day on the sports calendar that I love more than opening day. Not the first start of March Madness, not the beginning of the NFL season, not the NFL draft, nothing. There is nothing I love more than opening day, and it has finally arrived, and I am beyond excited and am going to let truly hope spring eternal as long as possible for opening day for the Kansas City Royals. We have a Royals roster. We have a Royals we have a lineup. We have a lineup. We have our first Royals lineup of the year. We have it, and I will get to it. But it's all here, and it's all great. And I know I have spent the past few months blathering on like an idiot about my excitement for this year and my excitement for this team. I hope some of you are excited as well. As I always try to say, we can be as negative as we want, but I think at 0-0, we should let the optimism and the happiness roll as long as it can. And if that runs out by week 3, well, it runs out by week 3. Who knows? But we have a lot to get to here on Mic'd Up. It will surprise no one. We're going to have a lot of baseball talk on today's show, both because it is open today and also because I'm running the show and I get to do whatever I want today. It's really nice. We're also off early today. We are off at 2:30 today because that's when Royals pregame begins, because Royals and Twins first pitch is at 3:10. To those going to the K, especially those that 1 hour opening day tickets, I hope you have a great day. Everybody else, hope you have fun. I'm going to the Royals on Saturday. I hope some of you listening are also going to the Royals at some point this weekend. It should be a very, very fun weekend with the Minnesota Twins in town. But we are off at 2:30 today for pregame with the Royals Radio Network with the new Royals play-by-play broadcaster Jake Eisenberg, Denny Matthews, all the gang over there on the Royals Radio Network. So we will get to them coming up at 2:30. But for specifically today's show, let's get to that. We're going to talk opening day. We're going to look at every opening day matchup. And what I really want to look at today for opening day is there's so much we can talk about and so much of these different things. We got some stellar opening day pitching matchups. And the other part of it, too, is baseball has these, it's trying to grow itself. It's trying to get back into the social consciousness. There's some good young pitching matchups today that I think could really start renewing some interest and I think could be fun ones that, hey, if you're still trying to get back into this game, get back into loving this on a broader than just the Royals level, I have some thoughts for you what you should try and watch today. But we're gonna talk about opening day. We're gonna break down the Royals roster. The Royals made 2 trades today. We'll discuss who those got traded before the last roster was announced. Then we'll look at everything else and we'll look at just who all made the initial 26-man roster. As we have said, though, this is one day out of 190 plus. This roster will change. We'll get to you who the roster is for today as well. We're going to get some minor league baseball talk. The minor league and the majors agreed on a CBA, a labor contract deal. I know we don't normally do, and labor contracts aren't a big deal, but this is momentous for the future of the sport, and I think we need to break it down a little bit and just see how we got here. Everyone loves the list. Unsurprisingly, favorite parts of opening day, things we love about opening day. I'm going to have Dan Lucero join me. I'm already going to get that in there. Dan Lucero, if you like him, because 580 Sports Talk is off for pretty much all of today due to the Royals. Dan Lucero is going to join the show at 125 to join for the list. So if anything, tune in at 125 and you get Dan joining me for our list today, our favorite parts of opening day, which you can also always let me know what your favorite parts of opening day are as well. We will get some NFL talk today. ESPN released a list of their top free agents left available. I want to take a look at the list and see who the Chiefs could sign. That's our non-baseball talk today, because I know some of you aren't here for, the old-fashioned game played since 1870. But we're going to get some Chiefs talk today as well, and then we'll preview Royals and Twins, and I will get you the Royals lineup later on today as well. As always, you're welcome to join in on the show on our text line, 785-272-9429. Give me your thoughts on how hyped you for opening day. Do you look forward to this Royals matchup? How do you feel about the powders being made? It's full powders today, guys. It is full powder blue. I say as my man rocking the entire City Connect get up today. How excited are you for that? How excited are you for the Major League season? Or just any of your other thoughts as well about the show? You can always hop in on the text line 785-272-9429 or in the comment section of our YouTube feed. We are live on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Sports on 580 is the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We would appreciate it. And then you can watch the show and jump in on the live comment section as well. That is today. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. As always, remember, without Jake here, your comments are welcome even more than normal because I like talking to you. I like having you, and I need someone else to bounce these ideas off of, and y'all are the ones I bounce ideas off of today. So I'm always appreciative of all of you. Where we begin, though, is it's opening day. We actually have baseball going on right now. Like right now, like right this second now. We have two baseball games being played. The Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals are going at it right now, as well as the San Francisco Giants and the New York Yankees, which the Giants and Yankees have been the opening day matchup. Brings me to a part that I want everyone to keep in mind for this year about another reason I think you could be more excited for this year than normal. This is year one of the new schedule and this new scheduling system that I will admit to you, immediately I balked at. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we messing with the schedule? But I've come around to it. Every team will play every team this year. Everyone's playing everybody at least 3 times. You're playing at least one series against every team. So you're playing less against your division opponents to do so. And it's going to try and balance it out. The idea is to generate a more balanced schedule to get more teams into more parks so you can see more people. That way, if let's say you're a Royals fan, you're a Royal fan like me. We saw the NL West last year. I saw the San Diego Padres last year in person. That was awesome. I want to watch Juan Soto again. Well, under the old schedule, I'd have to wait 4 years to maybe go see Juan Soto again with the Padres. Now, Royals and Padres play again this year. Can't remember if it's in Kansas City. We are already on to our first tangent of the day. Do the Royals and Padres play in Kansas City? If my internet will cooperate, I will try and find this answer for us all. Either way, as I wait for my internet to pull up and answer my query, that's just the overall point is the new schedule means you'll get to see more teams. The Atlanta Braves are coming to town this month. The Braves, a team that Jake thinks will win the World Series and that I think will be pretty damn good. Like, you get to watch that team. They are coming to town. They will be here, I believe, next weekend. I believe they're the second week. I believe they're like a week from today. I have the schedule up here right now. I'm gonna double check that as the schedule loads for me here. Like the Braves are coming to town. You get to watch that. Like there's so many new things for opening day this year that I hope we're all excited about in some way. Like find a reason to be excited. Actually, I'm sorry. 2 weekends away. Next weekend, the Royals go to San Francisco to face the Giants. And then they face the Braves in 2 weeks. But, that's a thing I think you can find a way to be excited for. Because I know that's been kind of the hard part about baseball, especially here in Kansas City, with the Kansas City Royals and in this area for, the past couple of years has been, what to be excited about. What thing should we look forward to? And my answer to that is you're going to see a bunch of teams you don't usually see. You're going to get to see every National League team. Usually, we've seen every American League team because you always do play against that. But there are a bunch of National League teams you haven't gotten to see a lot. You get to see a different version of these teams all the time. Some of them you're only going to get to see on TV because it's a road trip because they're on the road and you don't want to make the road trip. But also now, there's more road trips for you to take. Maybe you always wanted to go to San Francisco, couldn't do it last year. Go to San Francisco next weekend. Boom. You can do that. The Royals played in Arizona last year, so that's never they're going to Milwaukee. You can go to Milwaukee. They're at the Padres this year. Go to San Diego if you want to go to San Diego. All these different things with this new schedule, I think really does, do those different things and everything like that. That's what I want people to look forward to and try to really envision for what this year can bring and things to look forward to going forward. That's my whole thought on baseball and in general of what this new schedule does, which is, kind of this new era we're entering. Because in addition to new schedule, obviously, we have the new rules. And the new rules are in place now. Right now, with these 2 games going on right in front of me, the pitch clock's active. The pitch clock is a thing. You must be within the bounds of your pitch clock. You got, remember, 15 seconds with nobody on base, 20 seconds with runners on. You know what? I'm going to open this up as well. How many pitch clock violations do you think we see today? I think we'll see 3. I'm going to go to 3. We're going to see 3 today. How many pitch clock violations do you think we'll see today? If you care. If you know, that's fine. But jump out on the text line, 752-729-9429, and jump into the YouTube comments here on the YouTube live stream. How many pitch clock violations do you see today? Do you think we see one in Royals and Twins? Does Zach Greinke or Pablo Lopez or any one of them end up at violation? I don't know. But I think it's going to be great no matter what. And to, really finally, kind of get into what I want to start the show with here today. Some of these pitching matchups, especially for how young some of these pitchers are, I think gives us a good idea of the future of the game and things that I think benefits how this game will be going forward. I'm not going to run through every opening day pitching matchup because some of them are not worth it. But like some of these matchups are marquee and I think should be marketed as so, and I would call them appointment television. You know, it sucks the A's are the ones the Angels are playing because Shohei Ohtani is the opening day starter for the Angels this year. So one, watch the Angels because you get to watch Shohei Ohtani pitch. But at the same time, it's the A's. That's blah. But like Dodgers and Diamondbacks, Julio Urias and Zach Gallen, two of the better young pitchers getting to go at it. That is going to be a very, very fun matchup and a good matchup for the future. Reds Pirates. I will rarely ever tell you to watch a Reds Pirates game because, oh, good Lord, do those teams suck. But Hunter Green is taking on Mitch Keller. That's a fun, young pitching matchup that you could be interested in that I think could be fun going forward. You know, Shane McClanahan starting for the Rays against the Tigers. That's going to be a fun one to see Shane McClanahan, you know, pitch in that one. That's going to be a good time to see. You know, Alek Manoah is going to start for the Blue Jays against the Cardinals today. You know, all these little things I think are going to be good moments for the sports to go forward. And then this is the other better part of opening day is there's also just, excluding the young guys, some, I mean, amazing pitching matchups coming up today. You know, the Rangers are beginning the season against the Phillies. Jacob deGrom is taking on Aaron Nola this year. I think Aaron Nola is your National League Cy Young winner. And then we all know how good Jacob deGrom is. Like, that matchup should be fantastic coming up here. You know, we have so many great things going, like Marlins and Mets, a game you don't think of. Sandy Alcantara is your reigning National League Cy Young, and he's taking on Max Scherzer. Like, that's a part of opening day that I think is a real fun part is, you know, as the year goes on, rotations get muddied and days mess up. We don't often get those marquee pitching matches we hope for. We got to kind of get some luck. There's a little bit of luck we got to get in there to get the marquee pitching matchup that we so desire, you know, because that's what some people want for, like, I don't know about any of you. One of the reasons that I will watch an out of market game or a game that I don't really, you know, have a vested interest in the teams outside of just I'm a baseball junkie and I have a problem and I'll watch baseball as much as I can is I want to watch good pitching. It's fun. It's really enjoyable to watch two top tier pitching or great players. And we got some banger matchups, you know, today. Like, I'll try to tune into Alcantara and Max Scherzer. That's going to be a lot of fun. You know, it's a friend of mine was talking. It's a bummer that Rangers and Phillies is the exact same time as Royals and Twins because he's a Twins fan. Because DeGrom Nola is going to be an absolute clinic of a pitching matchup. So it's all these little things. And that's the biggest thing with opening day being here and us having this moment and seeing these matchups and seeing all these different teams and different things going on here. Baseball needs fans back into it. And as I've always said, it's a marketing problem, in my opinion. Baseball doesn't market itself well. You know, Jake made a comment of, you know, oh, does Mike Trout have the poll to say something? And Rob Manfred respond, no, but that's not really Mike Trout's problem. And I've seen plenty of people being like, you know, oh, there was I can't remember who it was on Twitter was like, you know, oh, if Mike Trout retired today, would we notice? And it's like, well, yes, but then the comment was also like, you know, but it wouldn't, you know, we'd forget it, you know, pretty quickly. And it's like, well, yes, but that's not Mike Trout's problem. Like that's baseball's problem. Baseball's marketing problem. The best thing baseball done to market so far is Shohei Ohtani, and that's heavily buoyed by him being Japanese and the Japanese market really pushing for all this because the Japanese are rabid about baseball. Like, think about how Americans love football, and that's how much the Japanese love baseball. And honestly, if not more. Like, they are rabid for that sport in that country, and so it makes, you know, their star player easier for them to market. So baseball has so many things they do need to get better and do need to fix. And I think it starts with, you know, pushing the excitement of opening day, making the kickoff of your season feel special. And I think they took a step forward with that this year. You know, they put out their usual tweets about opening day and try to highlight the matchups and do all that stuff. The schedule makers try to make sure there were some good matchups today and set up where, you know, you would have marquee teams against marquee teams and make sure there are battles that everyone wants to see. But overall, it also goes down to just Manfred and company have to market the team better. They have to find a way to really improve what the team's doing, what the sport is doing to grow. And I don't know how we get, like, I've always, like, there's a few different ways to get there. The biggest way is trying to watch the game. I've already seen people complain about, oh, I am happy for Royals Twins today, but I don't know how I'm going to watch the game. I have like no bigger comment there outside of I get it. It's a pain. Like, I have to jump through hoops to be able to watch my favorite team play. I jump through those hoops because I love my team, but I get it. I get those complaints. I think MLB is aware that they need to fix it. I think they're going to try and fix it. I think at some point they're going to, centralize their distribution pattern and kind of get rid of these RSNs and blackouts and things like that. I hope they do. But the overall arching point here of my rambling is opening day is a fun day for baseball fans like me and like you out there. It's an exciting one that you should all be ramped up and amped up for. And I implore you, if you are a diehard fan like me, there's some great stuff on today. Satiate the appetite, satiate the craving. I implore you, if you're a casual fan, watch some of these other games today and see what it does for your interest. Find a way to watch, Yankees and Giants is going on right now. That should be a fun matchup. Find a way to watch it today. Find a way to watch Rangers and Phillies if you can. Find a way, to watch, Dodgers Diamondbacks might actually be kind of fun. Mariners Guardians tonight will be an absolute banger with how good I think the Mariners are going to be, and Luis Castillo and Shane Bieber. Like, if you are a casual fan and you are even on the fringe of like, I kind of want to get back into this game, I implore you, throw on some of these fun matchups, try to keep an eye on everything today, and just let the joy of this day and the marqueeness and the big time that some of these matchups are presenting themselves, let them try and reignite your passion. I'm not telling you that that's going to work. I'm not even going to tell you to even try. But I think if there's a way that we as fans can make the push to get back into the game and help the game grow back to where it needs to be and where we want it to be, I think it kind of starts with opening day is supposed to be special. Let's find a way. If the league's not going to do the greatest job they can at making the day feel special, we can find our way to help a little bit as well. No matter what, it's a great day. It's a fun day. And man, am I excited to get to watch some baseball all day and night long. We're going to take our first time out here on Mic'd Up. When we come back from the break, it's time for You Did What here on 580 WIBW. Time for You Did What here on Mic'd Up on 580 WIBW. A short one today. And the You Did What is not as egregious as we've had some others in the past. But I just need another minute to really discuss NCAA, why we got Congress being involved in NIL. I know Jake and I tackled this a little bit yesterday, but why? They can't do literally anything else, right? There's about a million other things probably more important than NIL for them to focus on and take care of. But no, let's have them get their hands in this, which is going to cause a problem. And moreover, as I've often said, and we'll say it again and say it till the cows come home, getting Congress involved will only mean one thing, and it means the NCAA is trying to strip away some of the rights that have been given to players. Because that's the only result that would come through this. That's the only result that would come through this, is that the free market that's been created and the way that NIL is being done right now is the owners want it to stop. And I get you, maybe you want some restrictions, but as Jake and I have said plenty of times, you had your chance. You quite literally had a chance. And you screwed it up. And you biffed it. Show real leadership, NCAA, and don't bring Congress into this. What are you doing? Why are you asking those yahoos to actually put their, noses in a thing that they're just going to screw up? They're just going to. It's not going to end well, and I hope this thing dies out before it ever really gets traction, but you never really know what'll end up happening anymore with some of that stuff. But overall, I'm just annoyed, and, they always claim about it being the Wild West. Well, those in charge of the NCAA, you made this happen because you didn't put enough regulations in place in the first place. That's your own problem. We'll take another time out here on Mic'd Up. When we come back, we're going to break down the Royals roster. Welcome back into Mic'd Up here on 580 WIBW. On the YouTube comments, Vance, I'm 100% with you, my man. It's all about power and money when it comes to NIL. Yeah, it is. You're right. And I know. And I hate it. I hate every ounce of it. I wish they would understand that athletes are people too, and that we shouldn't just try and control them and make $1 billion off of them, but give them no piece of the $1 billion. That's all. I don't feel like what I'm asking for is crazy, but it is what it is. I'm jaded to how those things work at this point, but you are right, Vance. As always, you, much like Vance, can chime in on the YouTube comments of our live YouTube stream, youtube.com, Sports on 580 is the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. Watch the live stream. You can jump in on the comment section as well with any of your thoughts. And then, of course, you can jump in on the text line as well, 785-272-9429. That being said, it is time for the Royals roster breakdown. And what I mean by that is we're going to take a look at the roster. I'm going to give you the Royals opening day lineup because it's fun to bring that up. And really kind of how we got there and what to expect from how this roster is constructed. Is there anything that surprised me? Anything that I wish they would have done? You know, anything else that would, kind of surprise us a little bit, or some things we should do. So, that all being said, let's get to the two roster moves the Royals made today to make room. One of these is a smaller move that really is no consequence. The Royals have traded first baseman outfielder Matt Beatty, who was on a non-roster invite contract, to the San Francisco Giants. I don't know what they're going to get for that, even if it's just like a can of fish. That's what Matt Beatty hit fine in the spring. He hit well. He didn't play great defense. There wasn't a spot for him. So Matt Beatty is gone. He was assigned to minor league camp, and now he is with the San Francisco Giants. He is on the San Francisco Giants opening day roster. Then there was the move that sent part of Royals Twitter into a fizzy. The Royals have traded left-handed pitcher Richard Lovelady to the Atlanta Braves for cash considerations. So Richard Lovelady is no longer a Kansas City Royal. I'm kind of bummed. I always liked what Lovelady could do. He didn't often get really a fair shake or a lot of looks at the big league level. He was always usually performing pretty well at the minor league level and just never got that consistent chance with the big club. I hope he kills it in Atlanta. Hope he has fun. There were some very strong reactions to this of people being very upset. I get it. We all get attached to players we get attached to. There are guys we think that should have gotten an opportunity that didn't. Especially when there are guys that got opportunities that we feel shouldn't have gotten an opportunity. I get all of it. I truly do. But we don't know what this new staff thinks. We don't know who they like and who they dislike. For whatever reason, Richard Lovelady was the guy they were like, we needed to make a move. And for what it's worth, the Royals needed to open up a 40-man roster spot as well. And I know framing this in the idea of, well, they needed to make a roster spot, so they got rid of a player that people liked, is not the best frame. But at the same time, difficult moves get made. Do not have this color your opinion of this Royals new coaching staff. Like, do not let Richard Lovelady getting traded make you all of a sudden think that nothing's ever changed, that JJ and Matt Quatrero and company are going to be terrible, and the Royals are going to lose 100 games for the next 3 years. Don't go that doom and gloom on it. We can disagree with moves, but I don't know. I think it's just is it a bummer? Yeah, but it happens. Like, it is what it is. That all being said, because of that, the roster moves got made, and now we have the entire 26-man roster for 2023. So I'm going to go through with you, and we're going to look at who exactly is going to be on the 2023 Royals roster on opening day. As is the standard reminder, this is one day out of like 190. This roster will change. So if you're upset that a certain guy is not on this roster, if you're upset that a certain guy is on this roster, it's going to change at some point. Just for now, these are the 26 men that are starting this year. Your catchers, the Royals are keeping 2. It is MJ Melendez and Salvador Perez. Even though MJ Melendez is primarily going to probably play the outfield, he is still being treated as a catcher by the Kansas City Royals. That is 2 right there. Their infielders will be Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Massey, Bobby Witt Jr., Hunter Dozier. Matt Duffy has made the opening day roster along with Nicky Lopez, and Nate Eaton is listed as an infielder, though he can play both the infield and the outfield. That is 7 on the infield. We're to 9 at this point. Your outfield is a 4-man group of Jackie Bradley Jr. has made the opening day roster. Kyle Isbell, Edward Olivares, and Franmil Reyes has made the opening day roster as well. It was the additions of Reyes, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Matt Duffy that required the Royals to make 3 40-man roster moves. The trading of Richard Lovelady was the last of those moves. So right there, that is 13 position players. So the Royals went with an even 13-13 split. They have 13 position players and 13 pitchers on the opening day roster. Your opening day starting rotation is going to be Zach Greinke, Jordan Lyles, Brad Keller, Brady Singer, and Chris Bubich. Have all the thoughts you want about how that's made up. That's what it is right now. That will likely change at some point. I just want to add. Your opening day bullpen: Aroldis Chapman, Scott Barlow, Dylan Coleman, Amir Garrett, Carlos Hernandez, Taylor Clark, Ryan Yarbrough, and Jose Cuas. So you have 8 men in the pen to begin things off. That is how the 26-man roster is being presented on opening day. 5 players are going to begin this season on the injured list. Daniel Lynch and Drew Waters are on the 10-day injured list. Both of their times are retroactive to earlier in the month of March. So they can come off a little bit faster. I will say this real quick on Daniel Lynch. Matt Quatrero speaking with some of the media assembled during pregame today because they're already starting to get some workouts done on the field with first pitch under 3 hours away. Daniel Lynch is likely going to need till about the end of April to really be ready to go, to get him to about 90 pitches to be ramped up, since the injury has also delayed his ramp up. That is just worth noting. So like I kind of told Jake, I would see Daniel Lynch back in the rotation by May. So I think around the start of May is when we'll see Daniel Lynch finally make his season debut. So for the first month, and honestly, Chris Bubich, you got a month. Because I'm confident that if Lynch did not get hurt, it would be Lynch as the 5th starter and not Bubich. Chris Bubich, you got a month. You're going to have like 4 to 5 starts. Something like that. Go make something of it. I hope he pitches well, because if he does and makes this a difficult decision, the Royals have a difficult decision to make. But Chris Bubich, Brad Keller, go. You got a chance with no one breathing on your neck for a quick moment to show your stuff. Let's see what they can do to start this year. The other three roster moves for injured list, Angel Zerba is still on the 60-day injured list. That wasn't a new move, but it's just a re-upping of a move. Jake Brentz has been moved to the 60-day injured list. He's come back from Tommy John. He's probably not going to pitch at all this year, but Jake Brentz is on the 60-day injured list. And then outfielder Diego Hernandez, who hurt himself in the spring, he is on the 60-day injured list as well. That is how you get to the Hernandez, Brentz, and Lovelady moves, are how you get to the 3 40-man roster spots that you needed for Jackie Bradley Jr., Franmil Reyes, and Matt Duffy. So looking at this roster, before we get to an opening day lineup, I just wanted to look at this roster and what do I think about it and how do I think it's constructed and what do I think they're going to do? The biggest thing for the Royals is positional flexibility. Matt Quatrero coming from the Rays system, and I know I've given Jake flack for this. He talks all the time about, the Royals are just going to be, the new Rays. Like the Royals are going to be the Midwest Rays, and that's what they're going to be. It's a Raysification of the system. To an extent, he is correct. Matt Quatrero comes from the Rays system. He comes from the Guardian system. They run things in a very specific way over those places, so we're probably going to see a lot of that run here in Kansas City. That being said, I don't think it's going to be identical 1-to-1. Like Jake said, I think it was a Rays pitcher was not going over 170 innings, so therefore a Royals pitcher is not going to go over 170 innings. I don't think it's going to be that simple 1-to-1. I think, Matt Quatrero will let the roster speak to him and let him, kind of help dictate whatever moves he's going to run. But when I look at this roster, that's what I look at. There's a lot of flexibility here, and a lot of guys that can play multiple positions is what the bench is. Because, Matt Duffy is a bench piece, can play all over the infield. Nicky Lopez, a bench piece, can play everywhere but first base on the infield. Look at the outfield. Jackie Bradley Jr. can play all 3 spots. Nate Eaton can play all 3 spots in the outfield and can play third base and even second base. There's flexibility on that bench with the guys that are going to be riding the pine versus the guys that will be starters. And I think that is important. You have MJ and Sal. MJ's flexibility to play either the corner outfield spots or catch. I would like MJ to maybe be moved to full-time outfielder at this point, and we stop the whole catcher thing. But as of now, this is what it is, and we'll see when MJ finally suits up behind the dish for the first time this year. But overall, that offensive makeup, I think, has chance and potential. I think has potential to be good in different parts of it. And I'm going to hold the optimism. But what I like is the flexibility of this team. And that's what Matt Quatrero wants, is to have an ability to have multiple guys play multiple spots, because it lets you be a bit more flexible with your lineup. So I really like that. Starting rotation, it's fine. I have high hopes for it. I think Bubic will bounce back. I think Keller will bounce back. I think Singer's going to be as good as he was last year. And Brady's not going to pitch until the Toronto series. He's going to pitch to kick things off, I believe, on Monday is when he'll probably pitch. So it's a bummer we don't get to see him this weekend because he needs to ramp some things back up, but I still like that we're going to, see what he can do and see what he can do in year 2. Excited to watch Zach Greinke pitch today. I love watching Zach Greinke pitch, see what he does here as he continues to get a little bit older. And then Jordan Lyles, as I've said, can he eat innings and can his ERA be like 4 or 5? If he does those two things, the signing was a success. If he eats innings and has a 4.5 ERA, then he wasn't horrendous on the mound and he kept the bullpen fresh. That's what I think he should have been signed for, even though I would have preferred him not ever to be signed. But that all being said, it is what it is. And I like, though, that this rotation has 3 young guys in it, 3 homegrown players in it, in Keller, Singer, and Bubic. Because then it's what you're banking on. If the Royals are going to contend anytime soon, you need that homegrown starting pitching to take the step forward. So I like that early on here. They're going to get the shot. The bullpen, I know Jake is so big on he doesn't care about the bullpen until you're good. And I get it. I get it to an extent. But there's a level to it that is still nice to have a good piece. And it's something that can maybe help you bridge some gaps. And so I like this bullpen. I think it has a lot of options in it. Aroldis Chapman is what it is. That's another guy I'm like, why did you have to sign him? But they did, so we'll see what happens. Scott Barlow is going to be probably as good as always. I'm excited to see if Dylan Coleman has his walks issue under control. Same with Amir Garrett, because he had some walk issues last year. Taylor Clark should be able to, be a middle guy, eat some things up. Ryan Yarbrough is a great swing man. to either get you long relief outings or even be a spot starter. There's some good things out of Yarborough. Jose Cuas, I really liked. It's a great story, and I really liked the little bit he did last year. And I think him being on kind of a lower part of your pen is a good move. And then what I'm most excited about, I'm really excited to see Carlos Hernandez in a bullpen role. Like full on, he's just going to be a bullpen guy. As I've said, if his stuff is fixed a little bit, that's deadly bullpen stuff. Like his fastball slider combo in and of itself is so good. You know, you got a guy pumping 103, 102 with a good breaking ball off of it. That's something you need. And I think that's a good piece of the pen, and the Royals are going to get a chance to really see it here coming up. So that's, nothing here surprised me. This is pretty much exactly the way the roster, once things started really shaping and moves were being made, that I thought it was going to be. So there's no big surprise of what's happening here. Whatever it is, we're just going to kind of see what it is. I hold some hopes. It's a bummer to be Daniel Lynch and Drew Waters going to start the year on the injured list. It really stinks. If they're both healthy, I think Lynch is in the rotation, and I think Waters would have at least had a better shot at taking center field from Kyle Isbell. With the way the injury happened, it kind of just became Isbell's job. Granted, he still hit well in the spring and was looking good, so it's still like he earned it. But it would have been nicer to maybe see what Drew Waters could have done all spring to really, show he maybe deserved an opportunity to be the everyday center fielder. That all being said, are you all ready for the first Royals lineup of 2023? Because we have it. It is here. It has been released. It was released a while ago, so some of you probably have seen this, and I'm retelling you all news. But darn it, some people haven't heard this. And also, it makes me happy to go through opening day lineups. So, for the Royals, their opening day lineup. Leading off, playing shortstop, is Bobby Witt Jr. Hitting second in right field is MJ Melendez. Hitting third behind the dish and catching is Salvador Perez. Hitting fourth and playing first base is Vinny Pasquantino. Hitting fifth and your designated hitter is Franmil Reyes. Hitting sixth and playing second base is Michael Massey. Hitting seventh and playing third base is Hunter Dozier. Hitting eighth and playing center field is Kyle Isbell. And hitting ninth playing left field is Edward Olivares. Fun lineup, all in support of Zach Greinke on the bump for the boys in blue. I think it's a fun lineup. I think, I was chatting with Bradley J., our good friend over on Sister Station Country 94.5 Country. We have a lot of stations here. I was chatting with Bradley J. earlier today while we were just, kind of chatting, this morning. And I kind of just gave him a prediction of my lineup. I had every one of these players right. I did not have them in the right order, but I was like, this is who I would put as my starting nine. Kind of how I'd shape it up. So that felt good. I thought MJ was going to lead off instead of Bobby, but Bobby over MJ, I'm fine with that. I had Vinny over Salvi, but I'm fine with that being 3-4 slot swapped. I like that Massey's getting some respect, hit higher in the order, hitting sixth. I really think Michael Massey can have a fine year for this club and do some fun things. So we'll see kind of what he does going forward and all those different things. But overall, I think this is a fun lineup, and I think it should be a good time for the Royals. And hopefully, I will say it one more time. Hopefully, the Royals can find a way to get a win in this one today. But who knows? But they're taking on the Minnesota Twins. They also have their lineup out. I will see if I can grab it here. They put it out in a video package form. So I got to kind of find the spot on their video that I need it from and then pause it. Yeah, it's very awkward. For the Minnesota Twins, this is how their lineup's going to be. They have Max Kepler leading off in right, Carlos Correa at short, Byron Buxton's their DH, Trevor Larnach is in left, Jose Miranda is at third, Nick Gordon is at second, Joey Gallo is at first, Christian Vasquez is their catcher, and then old friend alert, Michael A. Taylor is the starting center fielder for the Minnesota Twins, all in support of Pablo Lopez. So, for you those going to opening day today, you get to see Michael A. Taylor again. I don't know how you feel about that, but you get to see Michael A. Taylor. Also good for, I hope he gets a nice reception back from the fans of Kansas City. I had nothing against Michael. Like, it wasn't like trying to be mean. I just didn't think he needed to always be the center fielder, but it was fine. I hope he has a good debut. I hope he has a good season for the Twins. But every time he faces the Royals, he goes hitless and doesn't hit at all, because that'd be really nice. But those are your opening day lineups for the Royals and the Twins. We will re-up those lineups coming up in the 2 o'clock hour to get you ready for Royals and Twins as we inch closer to first pitch. We'll take one more time out. We'll finish off this noon hour of Mic'd Up coming up next. As opening day is here, we already have a big name player on the injured list. And my prediction of why the Mets might have a problem is coming true. I noticed this as it popped across. I just want to thank our good friend Barbara and the YouTube comments for also bringing it up as well. This just announced Justin Verlander, the new right-handed pitcher for the New York Mets, will begin the year on the injured list with a low-grade, I think, elbow strain. It's teres major. I don't know anatomy. I don't know where your teres major is. That seems like an elbow or shoulder problem. I don't know. I'm not a person who does anatomy. I'm not a doctor. But Justin Verlander already going to start the year on the injured list. And that was my whole thing with the Mets. It's why I picked them to miss the playoffs. The Mets are banking on an old rotation to carry them into the rest of the season. Like, Max Scherzer's great. He's also almost 40. Justin Verlander is awesome. He's also 40. Carlos Carrasco might be the youngest guy there, and he's like 32 or 33. It's an older rotation, and to expect that rotation to carry you all the way, I think is dangerous. That's where I think the Mets will falter. That's why I think they'll just miss in the playoffs, also because they're in like the hardest division in baseball in the National League East. Like, that division is a madhouse. The AL East might be the one that can challenge it. But yeah, that is our big news that just dropped right now here at the bottom of, near the top of this hour. Is Justin Verlander is headed to the injured list. We have 2 games currently in action. A third going to be under the way shortly. The Braves and the Nationals are in the 3rd inning. They're in the 3rd inning, and this game is not even an hour old. God, I love the pitch clock. The Braves are up in the Nationals 3-1 right now. The Braves are up top. That's not surprising at all. And then the Yankees lead the Giants 1-0. And in the least surprising thing ever, the first home run of 2023 was hit by Aaron Judge on the very first pitch he saw. First pitch Aaron Judge sees this year, that ball went straight away center and was gone. Does Aaron Judge hit 63 home runs this year? The people are asking. He's on pace for 162. It's crazy. Like, Aaron Judge is something else, man. Like, Aaron Judge, to me, is the second best. He's in the top 3 of best players in baseball right now. I will let you hear an argument of how you want to construct it. I still think Shohei needs to have that one spot over anyone because, again, he's an all-star at 2 positions. Judge and Trout are all-stars at 1 position. That's why I think Shohei's better. But either way, they're all just absolutely insane. Thought over this hour, mic'd up with the 1 o'clock hour coming up next. It is time for hour number 2 here on Mic'd Up on 580 WIBW. Fulton Caster with you riding solo for today's show. Jake is off today, and Jake is off tomorrow. So, it is just me these final 2 days. For some of you, that makes you happy. For some of you, that makes you sad. Some of you, it makes you indifferent. No matter what, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're listening or watching or both for the show today here on 580 WIBW. Opening day is the theme of today's show. Baseball is back, and it makes me oh so incredibly happy. We have the Royals coming up pregame in an hour and a half. Less than an hour and a half, really. And in 2 hours, we'll be ramping up for first pitch as Zach Greinke will take on Pablo Lopez and the Minnesota Twins. Oh, it's awesome. Every ounce of it. Every single minute, moment of it is absolutely astounding and amazing, and it makes me oh so incredibly happy. We got a lot of baseball going on here across the league right now. Of course, as I said, the Braves and the Nationals are going at it right now. The Giants and the Yankees are already in the top of the fourth. The Giants and the Yankees, if you need, again, another reason to love the pitch clock, they have been playing since 12:05 Central Time. So an hour. They've been playing a game for an hour and 2 minutes. They're in the top of the fourth inning after an hour. It's awesome. It's great. The pitch clock is beautiful. It's a fantastic thing, and I'm happy we have it. A couple more games are going to be having their first pitches this hour. Orioles and Red Sox are about to get underway. They're going to have a 1:10 first pitch in Boston at Fenway Park. And then the Brewers and the Cubs with a classic Wrigley Field weird first pitch of 1:20. Brendan's not here to get mad at me potentially if that I'm kind of making a shot at his favorite baseball team, but it always is weird to me why Wrigley has the weirdest start times. Why is it 1:20? Why? Make it 1:05, make it 1:10. Why is it 1:20? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter, but it's weird. It's always weird. And Wrigley's like one of the only places that does it. That also being said, if I'm going to be an equal opportunity guy, why the hell are the Rockies and Padres first pitch at 8:40 in San Diego? Why? Why is Angels and Athletics at 9:07 first pitch? Why are baseball first pitches so weird? There's no reason for me to honestly be getting at all angry about this or being loud about it, but I am because that's who I am as a person. It's strange. It's odd. But either way, it is what it is. But baseball's back, and I'm very happy. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to actually get to some Chiefs talk at the bottom of this hour as we're going to look at the NFL free agents, their best free agents available. ESPN put out a piece yesterday about the best free agents currently available. I'm going to look at the top of that list. We're going to go through who the Chiefs could potentially target and sign, or if their best availables aren't guys the Chiefs should be going after. We'll take a look at that. We have Everyone Loves the List. Favorite parts of opening day. It can either be physical things that you get or do, or just the atmosphere around opening day. We're going to go for our favorite parts of opening day. Dan Lucero of 580 Sports Talk is going to join me. My fellow baseball junkie. Like, Brendan, Dan, and I are the massive baseball hardos. Jake is a Royals fan. And I want to make clear, I'm not saying this to disparage Jake at all. Jake's a Royals fan. He doesn't really watch other baseball that's not the Royals. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good sect of fanhood to be in. Jake probably knows, he knows some American League stuff, but National League is where, Jake kind of falls off. It's whatever. That's what Jake is, and it's fine. That's Jake. Then there's me, Brendan, and Dan, who are a lot more baseball hardo guys who follow the sport a lot more closely, follow both leagues. Dan and Brendan both being fans of National League teams means they really do follow what's going on in the National League. I'm not going to speak for Brendan. I think I'm correct in saying Dan and I are probably the two bigger baseball guys of the four-person sports team here. But Brendan also a pretty big baseball fan and a Cubs fan as well. So don't want to knock him for that or make it seem like he's not as big of a fan as he is. But Dan's going to know for Everyone Loves the List to get his parts of the favorite parts of opening day as well. And of course, in the 2 o'clock hour, we're going to preview the Royals and the Twins, take a little bit of a deeper look at this matchup. What do I think is some strengths, some weaknesses? What do I think what we should see today for the Royals and how they should work? And overall, I'll give you a prediction of who's going to win between the Royals and the Twins. I'll get to that today as well. Because again, we are off. Just a reminder, I am off at 2:30 today for Royals pregame. That'll be the Royals pregame, the Royals Radio Network, right here on 580 WIBW, your home for the Royals, which in this time that we're constantly complaining about an ability to watch the team, I know it's not the same as watching it, but the Royals radio crew is pretty dang good, guys. Jake Eisenberg's making his first debut with the team. He did great spot fills last year, which is the usual reminder. Fizz is in retirement now. Good for him. Hope he's getting to relax today. But Jake Eisenberg and the company, Denny, Ryan, Steve Stewart, all those guys, all the entire great crew, enjoy them. If you can't watch the game and you don't want to go through that, so find a way to watch it, turn on the radio, turn on the Royals Radio Network, listen to the guys. It's a great time. Trust me on that. That's still a great way to enjoy this baseball game and enjoy the way the game's being played today. So that's just the other reminder. You can listen to the Royals right here on 580 WIBW. We're going to kick off this hour, though, with I will openly admit, a kind of niche topic. But I implore you to stick with me on this because it is a thing that is going to foundationally change baseball as a sport. We've done a lot of talk about the rules changes at the big league level and how, that is going to affect how the game is played and all those different things. And, pitch clocks and bigger bases and shift restrictions and how that changes the on-field product. And that's true. But there's been another change as well here of late that I think is fascinating and does worth being covered. The minor league players, the MILB, their players last year, as the lockout was happening, decided to unionize. And the minor leagues have never really had a union. They've never been represented. They don't even really are represented by the MLBPA. The MLBPA, the MLB Players Association, their union can kind of help, and have done what they can, the best they can to figure things out. But overall, they bargain for the players. They don't bargain for the minor league players. They bargain for the major league players. So the minor league players have kind of often been just at the mercy of whatever the owners want to do. And there was a restructuring in 2020 and 2021 that kind of put all the minor leagues under one big umbrella for MLB to kind of oversee and then kind of disseminate. And, we hear, I don't know if I want to call them horror stories, but we hear stories all the time about, minor league players, they have 10 guys to a 4-bedroom apartment, guys on, they're sleeping on air mattresses and on the couch and things like that because they're trying to stretch their paychecks because, to be frank, if you were to go by a per hour basis, minor league players were being paid less than minimum wage. Now, I know with professional athletes, we often think about, they make plenty of money. And for top prospects in baseball, yeah, they live off their signing bonus. Bobby Witt Jr. never really struggled to probably make his way and pay for things in the minor leagues because he had a multi-million-dollar signing bonus to live off of as a top prospect. His salary was still peanuts. So it's for the journeymen, the mid-level prospects, the lower guys who are just trying to live out their dreams, which is an admirable thing. We all talk about, you want to have the job of your dreams, you want to live your dream. It's admirable. And so it's fair to want those guys maybe not to have to stress as much. And through this process, the minor league players decided we need to stick up for ourselves and fight. And so they formed a union. And they've been trying to bargain with the Major League Baseball owners and finding a way with the MLB to figure things out. And this came out last night. The Minor League Baseball Association, the MILBPA, has a labor agreement, a tentative agreement, and I want to stress the word tentative. A tentative agreement has been reached between the MLB and the Minor League Players Association on a CBA that would last 5 years and represent a bunch of gains for these minor league players. And this is the day after there was a settlement between the minor leagues and the MLB because they were violating minimum wage laws. That is a deeper legal argument that I'm going to get into. Just know the minor league players won. The MLB has some settlement money that they're paying out to players that they believe violated minimum wage and weren't getting paid enough. That's the gist here. I'm not going to get into the weeds of that because we're already on kind of a really out of the box topic here. But these are some of the things the minor league players will get, including the simple fact of players' pay is going to be doubled at all levels. AAA players will now make a minimum salary of $35,800 for a minor league season. AA players will now make a minimum salary of $30,000. That's up from $13,000. AAA players are making $17,000. High A players will go from $11,000 to $27,300. Single A players, low A, will go from $11,000 to $26,000, and complex league players will go from $4,800 to $19,000. Now, it is worth noting that among players in the deal, players at complex in the Dominican Republic, the Dominican Rookie League, are not included. The MLBPA, the minor league system only counts for domestic rosters, so there's some things to work on as well. But players also, in addition to just the pay increases, which are nice, and I wanted to highlight the pay increases because look at these minimum salaries. I dare any of you to tell me that these guys are asking for too much. Like, I get it. They're not, yes, their season is not 12 months. So to put the idea of like, or use someone that makes $35,000 compared to them making their $35,000. But the fact is, this is their full-time job. They should only have to work this job. I don't think it's crazy to say if you're in AAA, you can make $35,000 a year minimum. Like, in this day and age, inflation, all stuff we complain about, I don't think it's that crazy to ask for that as well. So, and so I wanted to highlight what some of these players are asking for to try and work on, because there also are plenty of minor league players who, in addition to trying to play ball, are working second and third jobs. And it's just, this is a way to let these guys truly be able to focus on their dreams and get some equal opportunities. As well, starting in 2024, those at AAA and AA are going to receive their own bedroom, their own housing. And then players with spouses and children will also get some accommodation as well. And then a rookie ball, single A, and high A, teams are going to provide transportation to stadiums. It's the little things. It's the little things that we can try and do to make it easier on these guys. It should not be, and this is an overarching thing for me, living your dream and having the job of your dream, for the most part, because nuance exists, there are gray areas in life. For the most part, trying to achieve your dream should not require you to starve and struggle and break your back to get there. And I get things have changed. And I know there could be some people saying and have negative opinions on this. I get it. The fact of the matter is this is a monumentous change for how this has been structured. That minor league players are getting a voice finally in the grand overall scheme of how baseball works and how baseball is run. This is a great first step for these guys because no, are minor league players ever going to be paid at the level of a major league player is? No, and they're not asking for that. But what they're asking for is these simple things to make their lives easier because these are more often than not really young kids. Some of these kids are coming straight out of high school. They need help. You know, some of these, we talk about, actually, this is a great little segue point here. Jose Cuas, who's made the major league roster for the Royals. His story is great. Jose Cuas was a guy at one point delivering FedEx packages because he needed money to make because his baseball career wasn't working and he needed to make extra cash because it was all flaming out. But then he got a chance to get back into it. Could maybe his career have been more stabilized and would have been an easier, more linear path had the minor league salaries been better? I don't know. But there are so many stories we hear of guys that, like I said, you have guys that work, 10 dudes to a 4-bedroom house, an apartment, where you're cramming dudes in there to save money and split money on rent. You got guys having to work second and third jobs in addition to their baseball seasons so that the way they try and support their families. All these different things. If the company you work for has a way to not to assist you and help you, I think they should. And that's why I'm happy to see that the players in the minor leagues are fighting for these things and trying to step forward and trying to find their way to do what they need to do and perform as best as they can. It's a great thing. It is a fantastic thing. And I'm so excited to see it. This agreement still needs to be signed and agreed to. There are still a few things that will need to be, finalized and figure out here and really nail it down. But overall, it's great. And it makes me so happy that this agreement is going to find a way to really flesh out and figure it out and figure out what we need to do. It delights me and it makes me just so happy that they are being able to work it together and figure this out. And it's going to be great. And I want to kind of tail end this segment for kind of the idea of what we need, of what this is all about. Garrett Rojuiz is a former minor league pitcher. He had been the forefront of the organizing of the minor leagues and their union and trying to get this all going. So he's kind of been the front of the labor movement here. And he's been kind of leading these negotiations. After this was announced and the MILBPA announced what it was doing and we got a CBA, Rojuiz set off a series of tweets to celebrate what it was. And I think these really sum up what it was like for these guys a lot of times. So Rojuiz in these tweets said all these, quote, "For those who passed the hat around for diaper money for newborns, for those who grinded away at 2 or even 3 off-season jobs, for those who skipped breakfast or even lunch to pinch pennies, for those who have," and this is the most important one to me, "for those who have given up the game not for a lack of talent, but for lack of funds, this is for you." And that last part is what's so important to me about this. There are players, and I'm not going to act like it's a large portion, but the fact of the matter is there are guys who have the talent to maybe try and find a way to be a Major League Baseball player. And they had to give up their dream because they couldn't afford to keep going. I know labor agreements and labor things are not always the biggest news and biggest things for everybody. But the fact of the matter is this is going to change a lot of the way that the younger parts of baseball works. This is going to make it easier for a lot of younger people to get involved in baseball and stay with baseball, which could then make the talent pool that much better as well. It's just a great thing overall, and I'm happy to see that the minor league players are able to find a way to really get things going and find a way to really try to balance out their living and just try and make it where it's not as much of a struggle to get through the minor leagues and really be able to focus on their craft and maybe let a few more guys who are on the fringes get a better shake at getting to the major leagues and living out their dreams. Because that's what everybody wants. Everybody just wants to live out their dreams. For some of these guys, that dream gets cut short for reasons that are far much too out of their control. We'll take another time out here on Mic'd Up. When we come back, Dan's going to join me for Everyone Loves a List. Time for Everyone Loves the List here on Mic'd Up on 580 WIBW. Dan Lucero is going to join me for this one. Dan, thank you for popping in.
Yeah, my pleasure. For everybody watching Fulton on video, just trust that I'm across the way from him. And we
Yes,
can see each other.
just trust that Dan is truly sitting across the way
If you
right
were
now.
paying attention, you saw me walk in during the last segment, so you know I'm here.
But Dan, you and I are pretty big baseball dudes.
We are.
Probably the two biggest baseball dudes, with Brendan a very close third
Easily.
on our list. It's opening day.
Yes,
and
it
so
is.
very fittingly, our list today, favorite parts of opening day. It can be things you like if you're physically there, things you like if you're watching from home, just atmosphere part of it, your favorite parts of it being opening day. So what's your number 4 favorite part of opening day?
Number 4 favorite part of opening day, guys making their big league debuts on opening day. It's pretty cool to see. We've already seen Anthony Volpe, the shortstop prospect for the Yankees, get a huge ovation at Yankee Stadium today, making his debut. Last year it was Bobby Witt Jr. making his debut at the K. Love seeing guys see their dreams come true on the most special day of the baseball calendar. It's pretty awesome.
That's my number 4 as well. It's the opening day debuts. There's nothing better to me because these guys work so hard. They fight, they scratch and they claw their way to get up here, and to be part of just what is usually such a fanfare event, and then they get all those ovations. It's such a great time, and I'm happy for all those guys making their opening day debuts.
Number 3 for me, full ballparks. These are usually games that are very well attended. Opening day is always a hot ticket, even in cities where maybe they don't sell out many more games or don't get too excited about their teams for the bulk of the season. But opening day always draws a crowd, and it's cool to see the stadiums full and hear those roars of a full stadium.
It really is fun. Number 3 for me, just the sounds of a ballpark, the sounds of bats cracking, gloves being popped, just the sounds of people being around you. And just there's kind of just the sound of a ballpark on opening day that just, you don't always get it throughout the rest of the year. Much like your point of like, it's not always this full for the rest of the year. It's just a great time.
Number 2 for me, everybody is 0-0. It's a clean slate for everybody. Batting averages are zeroed out. ERAs are zeroed out. It's a blank sheet of paper, a blank slate. And that's really special.
Number 2 for me is the exact same. It's the blank slate. It's that you can truly be. So I've told everyone listening today, the Royals are 0-0. Don't let the negativity seep in just yet. Just be positive, because as of right now, we're all tied for first place at 0-0.
Number 1, playing hooky to go. There's nothing better than ducking out on school or work to go to that day game opening day. I got the chance to do that a couple of times when I was growing up as a kid in the Denver area, going out to Coors Field for opening day, and that's just the best when you're there for the first game.
I have, in all my time, I've never gone to an opening day game yet. It's still on the list of finding time to end up going to one. But it's great, and I think that's a lot of fun. Number 1 for me, you get some of the best pitching matchups of the year. From a game standpoint, rarely do we get to really set finally who's going to face who. This is one of those few times we actually get to do that. We're going to have some good ones. DeGrom and Nola, I think, might be the most marquee one today, but there's a bunch of great ones. But yeah, usually get the best pitching matchups today. It's fantastic. That is Dan and I's list for favorite parts of opening day today. Dan, again, thank you so much.
Happy opening day to all who observe.
You cannot catch Dan and Brendan on 5A Sports Talk today, but you can catch Dan and Brendan on 5A Sports Talk coming tomorrow from 3 to 6. We'll take a time out for our Ag Update coming up next here on 580 WIBW. Welcome back into Mic'd Up, wrapping up this 1 o'clock hour here on 580 WIBW. Remember, if you have your thought on your favorite part of opening day, let me know on either our text line, 785-272-9429, or chime in on the YouTube comments as well. Go to youtube.com, Sports on 580 is the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't. We'd appreciate it. You can chime in as well. I want to give my thank you, of course, back to my good man, Dan Lucera, for helping me out for the list today. As I said before, you cannot catch Dan and Brendan on 580 Sports Talk today because that show is not happening today due to the Kansas City Royals. You can, of course, catch both myself on noon to 3 tomorrow on my dub and Dan and Brendan on 580 Sports Talk tomorrow from 3 to 6. But we are going to take a break from all of our baseball talk today. I know some of you are probably just sick of hearing me ramble on about baseball on opening day. I'm not sick of it yet, but we need to change pace. So I decided we're going to go to the good old NFL here to finish up this 1 o'clock hour. The NFL put out their list of best free agents available. This was Matt Bowen of ESPN released the best free agents still available. He ranked the best remaining players. And let's look into who is here. And are any of these guys potential Chiefs? Are there any of these guys here who any of you would see and think, man, the Chiefs should go get this person? And we're going to start with the least surprising thing. Number one on Matt Bowen's list of top NFL free agents currently unsigned, or is Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ. His write-up on OBJ for Matt Bowen is, quote, Beckham missed the entire 2022 season after he tore the ACL in his left knee during the Rams' Super Bowl victory last February. If the knee checks out in physicals, however, we know he can still make an impact as a number 2 receiver. In 12 games with the Rams in 2021, including the playoffs, Beckham caught 48 passes for 593 yards and 7 touchdowns. Based on what I saw on that tape, Beckham has lost some of the explosion in the middle of the NFL's most dynamic players a few years ago. Still, there's detail to his route running. He can create immediate separation at the line of scrimmage. I think we can all agree Odell Beckham Jr. would be a fantastic addition for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially for a team that does need some wide receiver help. I don't know why Odell still has gone unsigned. I don't know if it's a deal with, maybe Odell is asking for too much. I know that there was a report that he was looking for like, $20 million a year or something. And Odell did refute that. He said, I ain't asking for 20, but 4 ain't enough. And so, maybe it's a money thing. Maybe it's a year's thing. Maybe Odell wants a multi-year contract already and everyone else is just offering him a 1-year deal. I don't know what the issue is with Odell and why he still has not been unsigned, but I've said it once, I'll say it again. I've come really much around on Odell Beckham Jr. I'm cool if the Chiefs wanted to sign him. I'd be a big fan of that move. I think he would really improve the pass catching room and give them a receiver that could really complement Travis Kelce inability for this offense to run and give the Chiefs a dynamic weapon. So number one on their list is number one I think the Chiefs should do is Odell Beckham Jr. Number two on their list is Yannick Ngakoue, defensive end. He last played for the Colts. He had 9.5 sacks in 2022. Jake and I talked about this a little bit already about Yannick Ngakoue and why no one signed him. And it seems strange, with how consistently good Yannick Ngakoue has been, why he is unsigned. Yannick Ngakoue, since he entered the NFL as a rookie in 2016, 8 sacks, 12 sacks, 9.5 sacks, 8 sacks, 8 sacks, 10 sacks, 9.5 sacks. That's his career. A consistently productive pass rusher. I don't know why he's unsigned. I don't know. It seems kind of strange. He's only 28. He's going to be 28 this season. His birthday's tomorrow. Good for Yannick Ngakoue. Happy early birthday to Yannick Ngakoue. He turns 28 tomorrow. I don't know why he's unsigned. He is a bit smaller than a traditional Steve Spagnuolo defensive end. He's only 6'2", 246 pounds. So he's a bit smaller than Spagnuolo defensive ends. That could be a thing of why the Chiefs might not be in there and why it should work. Now, Matt Bowen does make a comment of why he has probably not been highly coveted. He's what Bowen calls a subpar run defender. So, maybe that's why he hasn't been signed, is he's really a guy that just be a pure pass rush specialist, only for pass rush downs, which, is fair and also a thing the Chiefs can need. So the top two free agents here, Odell Beckham Jr. and Yannick Ngakoue, I'd sign. I really would. I think it'd be a good option. To go through the rest of the top five here, Rocky Sin, a corner, is also on the list. Chiefs really need a corner. Dalton Reisner, the K-State legend, is their number 4 best free agent still available. Reisner is still available as a guard for any team out there who's still been yet to be signed here. I'm hoping Dalton Reisner can get something here going forward. And then Jadeveon Clowney, he's going to be 30 this season, and he's a big defensive end. He dropped off a little bit for Cleveland as he only had 2 sacks in 12 games last year. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, is a guy that the Chiefs, if they wanted a veteran edge presence, maybe that's where you go. I don't know, but he's someone who could still, maybe kick the tires on, see what it is here. But the entire exercise here is the free agent pool is getting thinner and thinner, but there's guys out there the Chiefs could still, take a chance on. Leonard Floyd is still out there as a free agent option. He's going to be 31. He's getting a little bit older in age here. He notched 9 sacks last season for the Rams. He's got good size. He stands 6'5". He's got some length. Maybe that's something the Chiefs could do, because I think edge is always the thing we talk about as well. Frank Clark is number 12 on Matt Bowen's list of best defensive free agents still left available. Melvin Ingram is out there as well as a much older player to be added as well. And then Poona Ford wraps up on the kind of 20th spot as a defensive tackle as the top 20 free agents. The point of this exercise, instead of identifying certain players, is kind of putting into frame for Chiefs fans out there as we move into this phase of free agency, what this phase is kind of about, I guess, is the best way I can word this. Because, we talk all this time about, will the Chiefs, make a free agent signing, particularly wide receiver? We were, sitting there watching a bunch of receivers, go off the board and things like that. And, Juju Smith-Schuster gets signed, Jacoby Myers gets signed by all these, moderate level contracts. And our thought was, well, why aren't the Chiefs making these moves? Is the Chiefs, is Juju wanting, 3 years, 33? Is that too much money? In all honesty, yeah, it was. I think if the Chiefs wanted to match that price, they would. So that circles back to the Chiefs having a plan and trying to identify some sort of plan that they want to do and figure out what they want to try and do and figure out what they're going to attack and how they're going to attack it. Receiver or a pass catcher, I think, is the better way to start framing it, is kind of the way the Chiefs could start doing this. And maybe it's the draft is what they go with. Maybe they try and grab somebody at the back part of round 1 at the wide receiver position or the tight end position as a pass catcher for this team. Maybe they try and execute a small trade up on draft night in Kansas City to try and grab, one of their guys if one of their guys starts falling a little bit. The bigger point to all of this, the thesis to the concept, the idea here is, don't be worried about any potential lack of action for the Chiefs. Because I've seen plenty of people, seeing, this wide receiver room and what it sits at, and they're worried about it, and they're going, oh, well, I know those receivers go, and, is it really more in Tony and MVS? Can it be a receiver room and all that? I think last year proved, at least for the Chiefs, that as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, I don't think you need to worry too much specifically about who's catching passes. As I've always framed it this way, at least for now, with this incarnation of the Chiefs offense, do you have have one elite pass catcher at whatever position that is? Do you have one? The Chiefs do. They have Travis Kelce. They have the Hall of Fame tight end, the best tight end ever played the game of football. They have that. So you can get by with a less is more mentality on the outside. There's also just the simple fact as well of the Chiefs probably think highly of Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. We've heard as such that Andy Reid, speaking at the owners' meetings, has kind of, discussed about, he expects Sky Moore to step up this year and really, take a role in the offense and really try to ingratiate himself in the offense. That, Kadarius Toney, if he can be healthy, could be a wide receiver one. We've talked about it, and the Chiefs might really believe if Toney is healthy, they believe he's a wide receiver one. The problem is Toney's health. Is the fact that Toney's been consistently hurt and had other issues. But I think the Chiefs are smart to be a bit more patient with what they're doing here, kind of in this back part of free agency, and trying to be patient with some of this back parts of free agency and not trying to rush into any one thing that they could be doing. I don't know. Is that a positive thing? Is that a great thing? I don't know. But as I've said numerous times here on this program, I think the Chiefs and Brett Veach have the benefit of the doubt that whatever they're planning is that there's a plan in place in general. That nothing is happening off just whims and, kind of a screw it, let's see what happens mentality. I think we'll see what's going on here. But looking at these free agents and what's available, there's a couple here that I really think the Chiefs should take a shot on. And then there's a lot of bottom, I don't want to call them bottom of the barrel. That feels rude. But there's guys here who should be cheaper veteran free agents that if the Chiefs need to kind of fill things up here, that they can do it. But I think the other important part to notice here is Matt Bowen put 20 players on his best available free agents. One is a wide receiver. One. That matters. And I think that scarcity could impact the Odell Beckham Jr. price. I think it also means if the Chiefs don't get Beckham, I don't think they're trading for DeAndre Hopkins. We've seen more and more releases of what teams are involved in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes, so to speak. And the Chiefs haven't really been rumored to be one of those guys. But if they don't get Odell, I really feel the idea is as simple as they're going to draft some wide receivers, and they're going to assume, and I get the anxiousness in that. I do. Because this is a system that's notoriously hard for rookies to pick up. I mean, look back to Sky Moore as simple as last year. But if the Chiefs feel confidently enough about some of these pass catchers in the draft, and their draft evaluation has been really on point the last few years, I think there is a realistic possibility and a good way to view it that the Chiefs are going to be able to find a way to figure things out and figure out how they want their offense to run. The magnum opus here is just don't get worried about the lack of activity for the Chiefs, because also looking at this, there's not a lot of on the barrel for wide receiver specifically, because that's the one I've seen talked about so much for the Chiefs is the wide receiver. And I know your comment might be, well, they should have been more aggressive earlier. They didn't want what was earlier. And if you don't want what's on the board, don't just buy something to buy something. That is a thought process beyond NFL free agency. Don't just buy things to buy things. Buy them because they make you better. They make your team better. They're an improvement upon something. They're a necessity to your team, to your product. That's when you should spend money on a thing. You don't need to spend money just because your idea is like, well, we need a receiver. We don't really think, Juju's worth that money, worth $30 million, and it's probably going to be a bad contract, but we need somebody, got to spend it. No, you don't. And I think that's what the Chiefs have realized is that they're only going to spend money or add players to their team that actually makes their team better. And that is a good philosophy in which to build your team. I hope they get Odell Beckham Jr. I'm really moved on to the Chiefs, and Odell would be a lot of fun, and I think would actually work out pretty well. But who knows? Maybe something different will happen. Maybe they execute some crazy trade on draft night and they get a high level wide receiver. Or maybe they go crazy and they draft Dalton Kincaid. I really think, I've come around with that as well. I know the Brendan and Dan on 580 Sports Talk yesterday really brought up, Dalton Kincaid and what he can do. He would be, in the mold of a Travis Kelce, of a big guy that is technically a tight end, but can play as a wide receiver. All these little things is what they can do. And I really think the Chiefs can find a way to be productive going forward without necessarily having to break the bank on any wide receiver or anything like that going forward. We're going to take a time out here on Mic'd Up. We'll wrap up the rest of this 1 o'clock hour coming up next. There is a new captain in town, ladies and gentlemen. And no, do I not mean Derek Jeter, Aaron Judge, or all those Yankee captains, because apparently one of the Yankees are people with captains people care about. The Royals have a captain. For the first time since 2007, a Royal wear the C on the chest. Salvador Perez has been named the team captain for the Kansas City Royals. He is the fourth team captain in team history. He joins Mike Sweeney, Frank White, and George Brett as the only team captains in the history of the Kansas City Royals franchise. The last time there was a captain was Mike Sweeney from 2003 to 2007. I am delighted that Salvi is getting this chance. It is great. It is happy. It delights me that he's getting this opportunity and this chance and getting this recognition from the staff. captain is interesting because, like, in other sports, it's a thing that really matters. You got a name. In other sports, it doesn't matter, and it's not a thing. I don't know. It's kind of back and forth. But it's great for Salvi because Salvador Perez is one of the true greats of the Royals of all time. Salvador Perez right now is one of the top 10 players in WAR and Royals history. He is 9th on WAR in Royals history. Fun fact, he's above Zach Greinke. Greinke is 10th in WAR and Royals history. Salvi is 9th. 8th is Alex Gordon. Salvi is 2 WAR behind Alex. So Sal could pass Alex this season in WAR. And then he would go in try to chase guys like Frank White, like Mark Gubiza, like Brett Saberhagen, like Willie Wilson, like Amos Otis, like Kevin Appier. And then it's pretty much impossible for anyone to catch George Brett at this point unless you're a Royals Hall of Famer. By the way, Junior, that's your job, apparently. But it's great. It's one of those little things that, and this is where I go into seeing some positive about the new management. Because this is a little thing, like an incredibly little thing that Salvi, I know, appreciates. There's no way Salvi doesn't appreciate it, but it's not needed. It probably won't change too much. I mean, it might give Salvi a little extra motivation to play, but overall, Salvi's who Salvi is, and he's as important as he's ever going to be. But it's nice to see the new regime come in and immediately with the idea of we're going to not only just make changes to the on-field product of we're going to run the club differently, we're going to be a little bit different in our roster construction, we're going to try to have different little mindset with our analytics and our data and things like that. But this is a good-natured gesture of we recognize the importance of a player to this club, and this is our commitment behind it. You know, when a new staff can come in, you can worry about your veterans not being treated properly, or that your veterans might get the short end of a stick. Or honestly, for some teams, you worry that your veterans are going to get shipped out the door because that's what, when new GMs come in, the coach might be on the hot seat because, they want their guy in there. Well, for Matt Quatrero, he wants his team on the field. And he's at the mercy of what some of these players are. And so I think this is in and of itself a nice commitment to Salvador Perez as a player and as a leader of this team to give him this honor. Captains in baseball are not a thing that's given out a lot. Like, again, the Royals have had now 4 in their franchise's history since 1969. The Yankees hadn't had a captain since Derek Jeter retired. And even that was a big deal when Jeter got named captain for the Yankees. Teams don't usually do this. It's just it's an honorary thing. It really doesn't come with a lot of perks, but it's basically us outwardly signifying you are the leader. You are the guy we're going behind. It is your job to lead us on the field and be the guy that we all stand behind and rally behind. And I think it is fantastic that Sal gets this honor, that Sal gets the chance to do this, and that he's going to be able to, with a level of pride, because that's what it's going to be for Salvador Perez. He plays baseball so hard, and he loves this game, and he loves this sport, and he's just such a fun-loving guy. This probably means a lot to Sal, and that he's going to get a chance to show off what he means for his team. Because, man, he has been with this team for 11 years. Man, it's been 11 years. 9th on the team in WAR in those 11 years. The 9th most valuable player in franchise history. The 9th best player by WAR, which is a good overall metric to use in franchise history. And now that best player, one of the top 10 players in franchise history, gets his honor of being a captain for Matt Quatrero's Royals team and lead them into this new era. And I think he'll do well. And I think it's going to be really, really fun to get to see Salvi being the Royals captain going forward. And it's such a great honor. And I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of Matt Quatrero for making this move, of JJ Picola for making this move, and agreeing that, you know what, let's outwardly show our support and put our, hitch our wagon behind our leader in Salvador Perez and, be behind him going forward. The order for the 1 o'clock hour mic'd up. Well, the final hour is coming up next. It is time for the final 30 minutes of Mic'd Up here on 580 WIBW. Royals and Twins pregame is in 24 minutes and counting. So you only have to listen to me talk to myself for 24 minutes. Like always, for some of you, you're sad. For some of you, you're happy. Some of you are indifferent. As always, I'm just happy you're here. I'm happy you're joining us here on Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton. Fultoncaster with you, riding slow for today and for tomorrow. It's been a fun day. It's been a lot of fun. Opening day has been fantastic. We got a lot of great games going around. Games are starting to really pick up and run across themselves here. We got Royals and Twins going up at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. We got pregame coming up here in just 23 minutes. And with that, it's very simple what's going to happen here at the 2 o'clock hour. Let's preview a baseball game, folks. Royals and Twins. We're going to run through the lineups here real quick. And we're going to break down what is the Royals' path to victory today and what we think about the Royals trying to win today here on Mic'd Up. You heard me say the lineups back in the bottom of the 12 o'clock hour, but in case you're new to us and just joining us, we're going to hit it again because that's what we do around here. Here are your opening day lineups. First for the visiting Minnesota Twins. They have Max Kepler leading off, playing right field. They have Carlos Correa at the shortstop position. He will bat second. Byron Buxton's their DH. He will bat third. Trevor Larnach in left will bat cleanup. Jose Miranda, their third baseman, will bat fifth. Nick Gordon, second baseman, will bat second. Joey Gallo, their new acquisition on offense, will play first base and bat seventh. Christian Vasquez, their new catcher, will bat eighth. And Michael A. Taylor, the old friend for the Royals, will bat ninth. So Michael A. Taylor is back patrolling Kauffman Stadium's center field, but this time just in an entirely different uniform. That is the Minnesota Twins starting lineup. That is all in support of new pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez has pitched for the Miami Marlins for the past few seasons. That is where he began his career. Good stuff. Good stuff. Usually pretty much in the zone. A pretty good pitcher that the Twins were able to acquire from Miami. So Pablo Lopez will get the opening day nod. For the Kansas City Royals, here is your opening day starting lineup. Bobby Witt Jr. will lead things off, playing short. Jim Melendez will be in right. He will bat second. Salvador Perez, the catcher, will bat third. Vinny Pasquantino at first base will bat fourth. Fermio Reyes, the DH, will bat fifth. Michael Massey, the second baseman, in the sixth spot. Dozier will play third base and bat seventh. Kyle Isbell is in center. He is batting eighth. And Edward Olivares is in left field. He is batting ninth. And for the Royals, they are all in support of their pitcher, Zach Greinke. So, we have a lineup. We have two teams. We have weather. It's going to be a beautiful day. A little windy today. No rain in the forecast, but a little windy, so the ball maybe gets a chance to fly out of the park. For the Royals, let's discuss some expectations for today and for the season, and if they can win today. we've done our Royals predictions. We've done what we think that the team's going to do. We want to throw all that. If you want to rehear those, you can join us. You can go back to our website, 580www.com, go to the podcast page, and listen back to yesterday's show, where we gave you our predictions. Biggest thing is Jake thinks Vinny's going to be a top 10 hitter in the American League. He did not give me a stat. He just says top 10 hitter, which is fine, I guess. But, should have stats for saying you're top in something. And then I said MJ would hit 35 home runs. And I still actually fully believe that. I think MJ's power is really going to come through this season. I hope he plays well. However, the expectations should be simple. I want to be clear. If you believe that this team needs to, be like 5 games that are over 500 when this month ends, they need to run through, win every series. I think that's asking, I don't necessarily that's a really high bar for a team that's coming off the seasons the Royals have. I think there can still be happiness and positivity for this team found in mid-level success. I would like them to win on opening day today. That'd be awesome. Starting a year with a win is good. If they start the year with a loss, though, not all losses are created equal. Do they start the year off with a loss because, they lose 3-2 and, they get some bad luck outs? That's unfortunate. Do they lose 8-7? And just one big inning happened against Zach Greinke and they couldn't get out of the way and they fight and claw their way back. It's these different ways to try to evaluate what this game can be that I think is important for the Royals and important for them coming up. And that's, you should evaluate every game this year. I think you should try and evaluate it through a lens of how can this team perform and how well can they play. And I would really like to look through all this in a lens of, can the team try and figure out what they're going to do and try and figure out what they're going to try and accomplish, what they're going to try and break down. And we'll see what that is for the Royals. We'll see what it's going to be for them this year and what they're going to be in this game. I really think that they can win today. I believe the Minnesota Twins are going to win the division. I want to make that very clear. I think the Minnesota Twins win the division. I think the lineup's going to be better than it was last year. And more importantly, I think that pitching staff for the Twins is going to be a lot better than last year. And therefore, I think, listen, plus I think, I'll be really honest, I think the Guardians progress. They got a lot of contributions from a lot of young players. That, to me, doesn't bode well. To me, that screams for regression. And so I'm predicting regression. That being said, the Royals can beat the Twins. They went 7-12 against Minnesota last year. They went 5-4 against Minnesota at Kauffman Stadium. They can win these games. These are winnable games, and you have to at least compete. And that's, I guess, and that might sound like a really, really sad, tiny bar I'm about to give this team, but just be competitive today. Even if it's not a win, just be competitive. Keep me engaged for 9 innings. Keep me believing there's a chance to win for 9 innings. That's what I want and what I hope we can get. And I think we can get. I think we can get that for the Royals this year, that they can be competitive, that they can be engaged for 9 innings. Minnesota is a tough team to face. Pablo Lopez is not the easiest pitcher. I'm actually going to pull up Pablo's numbers from last season. Give me just one moment. But, you look at Pablo Lopez last year. He went 10-10 for the Marlins last year. Wow, he went 10-10 in 2022 and 5-5 in 2021. That's consistency. He had an ERA of 3.75, 174 strikeouts to 53 walks. It's a good strikeout to walk ratio is what he has, and he doesn't walk a lot of guys. He only walks about 2 per 9, and he can strike you out with about nearly 9 strikeouts per 9. He's a good pitcher. So if you have issues against Pablo today, it's not, something we also need to be raising our pitchforks and going to run one Royal way with, torches and screaming for them to already, kick Matt Quatraro out. But can they just be competitive? Can they be smarter? Can they play well? The big keys for me watching this team is going to be the series through the weekend. And I'm going to break down more of Game 2 and Game 3 of the series coming up on tomorrow's show. But it comes down to, can they just not be overpowered? constantly. And I think they can. The path to victory today, to me, is I'm not going to wrestle go use. I don't want to use the word simple, but it's straightforward. One, you need 5 good innings out of Zach Greinke. Can Zach Greinke give you 5 good innings today? Can he scatter 6 hits across those 5 innings, give up like 2 runs? That's what I expected of Zach Greinke. Can Zach Greinke give you that? I think he can. I think that's what he did on opening day last year, which now I'm going to go back and look because I'm just, once again, interested. I'm intrigued. Zach Greinke has a lot more stuff for me to go through than any other player because he's, 39 years old and will be 40 come October. But like, if you go to Zach Greinke's his game logs from last year, because that is the important thing we're looking for here. What did Zach Greinke do on opening day last year? Opening against Cleveland last year, Zach Greinke went 5 2/3, gave 5 hits, 1 run. He walked 1. He struck out 1. Can Zach do that again? Something similar? I think he can. And it'd be helpful. It would lead yourself to find a way to get a win. And then offensively, it's find a way to get to Pablo Lopez early. I think the worst thing you can do, and I think this applies to opening day in general, don't let that opening day starter settle in too much. These are all their guys' first, starts of the year. It's their first time really rolling out there, trying to throw out their stuff, see how they're feeling after a spring. Pablo Lopez, the intriguing part about Pablo Lopez is he took time off for the World Baseball Classic. He pitched for Team Venezuela on the World Baseball Classic, which I'm sure he and Salvi are going to be happy to see each other today, as we're countrymen on Team Venezuela this year, along with Carlos Hernandez. But don't let him, I think the Royals could enter, I don't want to call it the danger zone, but they could enter a difficult territory if Pablo Lopez, sits down the first 9. Do you go 1 through 9 without anyone getting on base? I think that would start causing problems because then you're putting some pressure on yourself. You're letting Lopez find a bit of a groove and things like that. I think the key there is, somebody in the top, middle, bottom parts of this lineup, find ways on base. I would love this, Royals offense to begin with Bobby Witt Jr. getting on base to lead things off in 2023. It'd be awesome. It'd be great. It'd be a good positive sign for him here. But keep the line moving. Put some runs across. The Royals got 3 runs on opening day last year. I think this is a lineup that can score 3 to 4 runs a game. Prove me right to start. I think that's what you need to win this game. You won't win this game with only 2 runs. The Twins offense is going to be capable. They're going to put some things on the board. Don't waste opportunities. Our big thing last year for the Royals was always, leaving runners on base. They're poor hitting with runners in scoring position. Can you not start the year that way? Can the Royals not go like 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position today? Can they actually hit if they get a runner on second base, if they get a runner on third base? Don't squander those opportunities. Play well and find those things to do it. And limit the self-inflicted wounds. Don't have errors. Don't have misplays. Limit the strikeouts. Make the Twins beat you. It is, I guess, the short of it, the long and the short of it here. And I think you can. I think you can find a way to really have to battle this Twins team and make it to where you can really find a way to compete against them and find a way to get a win, I guess is the best way to put it. It's the best way to identify it is find a way to scratch and claw yourself to a win. And the other thing is here, and I think as well, what I would look for is there are going to be some fun things to look for here on opening day. How does Matt Quatraro manage the game? He's not been a big league. He's, been assistant to managing parts on a big league roster. He's not been a big league manager yet, though. So how does Matt Quatraro handle his first game as a big league manager? What does he do? What is the leash on Zach Greinke? Is it 80 pitches? Is it 85? I mean, Zach himself has talked about, when he gets to about 90, that's when, he might have some, longer recovery for the next day. How quick is the hook on Zach Greinke? Who is the first out of the pen? I'm intrigued to see what's that first arm that Matt Quatraro brings out of the pen today. Is it Chapman? Is it Coleman? Is it Taylor Clark? Is it Amir Garrett? Is he going to play the matchups? Is it going to be you try to go for Garrett for a lefty heavy part of a lineup, and then you go for Dylan Coleman or Carlos Hernandez for a righty part of the lineup? How quickly does Carlos Hernandez come out? Is Carlos Hernandez used early or in a clutch situation in this game? Who are the high leverage relievers? I think we're going to get to see the high leverage relievers for the first time in this one. If there's a GM, if there's, I'll be honest, what I'm really intrigued by, how early does Scott Barlow come into this game? Is Matt Quatraro going to manage in the vein of Barlow's a ninth inning guy? Like, he's your closer. He's your guy who finishes the game. Or does he use the idea of like, no, we don't have assigned roles. It is, if I need you to put out a fire and this is the most important inning, that's when I'll use Scott Barlow. I'm intrigued by that. How will he use the bullpen? How will the bench be used? Do we see pinch hitters today? Do we see defensive alignments and different guys coming off? Do we see Nicky Lopez come off the bench today? Do we see Matt Duffy come off the bench today? Does Jackie Bradley Jr. come in as a defensive replacement late in the game? I think that's one of the more common options is you could see maybe late in the game, throws protecting a lead, and maybe Jackie Bradley Jr. comes in to play center and Kyle Isbell shifts to left. And Edward Olivares gets replaced by JBJ. And then your defensive outfield's a lot better because you have Isbell and JBJ covering parts of the field, and then MJ's just in right. I just, there's all these different pieces that I'm fascinated by, that I'm intrigued because with it being a new manager, the game's going to be run in a different way than it normally has been. Matt Quatraro is not going to manage like Mike Matheny. It's different. Can the pitchers throw strikes? Like Zach Greinke, I know, can throw strikes. That doesn't matter. When the young guys come in out of the pen, if Jose Cuadras comes in, if Carlos Hernandez comes in, if Jalen Coleman comes in, can they throw strikes now? Simple as that. And I know that is the lowest bar to clear, but man, that was the most infuriating part of this team last year, is they couldn't throw a damn strike. They were dead last in walks. That is painful to watch. Can they beat that? Can they be competitive on the mound with guys not named Zach Greinke? That is what I want to see. That's what I'm looking forward to in this game. And that's why I want to, maybe see when the young guys come in out of the bullpen. Because that's where you're going to see different guys today that you really actually have to ask the questions about. Because we have to ask those questions about Zach Greinke. Greinke is Greinke. Greinke is who he is. He starts strikes. He confuses guys. His max effort on a fastball is like 90 miles an hour. Like, it is what it is. That's Zach Greinke now. There's not a question there. But can these young pitchers perform? And then how does this lineup do? How does this lineup do with all of its changes? How does Franmil Reyes do in his debut? Does he get a hit? Or does he look like that floundering guy, which was the reason that Cleveland DFA'd him? Do we see that? How does Michael Massey do with his first opening day start? He looked pretty good in small sample size last year. How does he look today? Does MJ Melendez keep it up? Does Bobby Witt Jr. look more patient today? My big thing is, how many pitches does Bobby Witt Jr. chase in this game? I think that is fascinating because that was his issue last year, was high chase rate. Didn't really walk. Is Bobby more patient, in this game? How's Kyle Isbell look in center field? How does Edward Olivares look? Can Hunter Dozier not be completely awful? Can he be something in this game? Those are all the little pieces of minutia that I'm going to look for in this game that I am excited to see. And I think will make this a very fun game going forward, and a game that can actually be enjoyable to watch, and a game in which I really hope the Royals can actually get a win. It'd be really nice for the Royals to begin the year with a win for their second straight opening day, but bare minimum, be competitive today. Fight the Twins, battle with the Twins. This is a very good Twins team. That's the other big thing I want to make sure we're across here. Very good Twins team that could win the division. So it's somebody that if you lose, it's, it's like when you lost some stuff to Cleveland. But remember, you beat Cleveland and actually won the division last year. You beat Cleveland on opening day. Do it again this year. Beat Minnesota and find a way to really start the year off with the absolute most positive vibes that you absolutely can do. We'll take a time out here on Mike Depp. We'll get the mic drop coming up next. Then we'll hand it off to the Royals Radio Network. Time for the mic drop here on Mic'd Up to wrap things up for today. My mic drop is very, very, very simple. Baseball's back. And I know y'all have heard me today. You just keep rambling on and on about how much I love opening day and how much I love the sport of baseball and all these different things. But that's what this day is for me. As a lifelong baseball fan, as this is the sport I played the most growing up, it's the only sport I was ever good at, the thing I've watched since I was a little kid. I love this sport. And my fondest memories are all revolving this beautiful sport. And I'm happy the Royals are back. And for as of now, I can be as optimistic and happy about this baseball team as I feel like. And that's what I can be. And that's what I implore every one of you to be as well. I get it. This team has beaten you down with the losing and the negative energy and all of that since 2017. I get it. I understand. I get 18 sucked and 19 sucked and 2020 and 2021 and 2022. I get all of that was brutal. I understand. I was right there with you. But it's a new culture. It's a new staff. It's a new team, partly. Find a way to at least be a little bit positive and look for the bright side of the situation. I choose to live my life and live who I am as a glass half full kind of guy. Y'all don't have to be that way. I'm not telling you what to do fully, but I just think it's much more fun to be in a way to be a bit more positive with the way this team can be. And that maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs because they're not. We need to squash that. It would take a miracle to get that far. But can they show improvement? Can they be better? Can they show enough improvement where this team might make investments to try and make the playoffs next year? They can. They really can. Don't be apathetic. Apathy is what's finally starting to set with this fan base. And I just ask you to fight it off for one more year because this team can try and be entertaining and try and be fun. And I think it's going to be a really fun one today here for the Royals against the Twins. That'll do it for Mic'd Up here this afternoon. We're going to hand out to the Royals Radio Network, to all the guys over there for the Royals. Remember, first pitch is coming up at 3:10. Remember, tomorrow, noon to 3 is normal. It'll just be me. Jake will be off. You can also catch Mic'd Up from 3 to 6 as well. But the Royals and Twins, it's going to be an absolutely fun time here in this matchup coming up here. It's going to be a great one. Hopefully the Royals get a win, and we'll recap it all coming up tomorrow on Mic'd Up. But for now, let's hand it out to the gang of the Royals Radio Network for Royals and Twins.